Good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. Today our guest is Mr. Festus Okoye, INEC National Commissioner for Information and Voter Education. Festus, it's a delight to have you.
Thank you so much.
I mean, we've been having you, in recent times, but remotely. I guess there's nothing like, shall we say, live, live and direct. So thank you very much for making time. But I was hearing that the Commission actually has a meeting today somewhere, and here you are here. I suppose you have to keep on informing us. And voter education, that's part of your title. We need to know what's going on in INEC.
Well, as of today, wherever a national commissioner is, he can join the meeting through Zoom. So whether you are within the commission premises or not, it really doesn't matter anymore. We are technologically compliant, and then I will join the meeting by Zoom.
All of that is like waving a red cloak before a bull, because you're talking about technology, and technology has been in the news as far as elections in Nigeria are concerned in recent times. And most importantly, having elections with integrity. Now, let's go, if we can, to the whole matter of electronic transmission. I fear that it's not very well understood by most of us, and I'll put myself at the very top of that, at the very front of that particular queue. Because my understanding was that, look, when an election happens at a polling unit, you can transmit the results from that polling unit right up to a national collation center. But I have since found out that there are a number of steps in between. And so we'll take this opportunity for you to sort of explain it to us. What does it mean when we're talking about transmitting electronically from the polling unit results to where?
Well, you need to understand the way the commission works. Now, the commission is a product of the Constitution and also a product of the law. Constitutionally, the commission has been given the power to organize, undertake, and supervise constitutionally projected and protected elections. These are some of the elections that are in the Constitution. We conduct presidential election, governorship election, election to both the Senate and the House of Representatives, state assembly elections, and also area council elections in the Federal Capital Territory.
Okay.
The commission does not conduct local government elections. Mm-hmm. That is within the purview and jurisdiction of the State's Independent Electoral Commission.
You also conduct by-elections?
Yes, we also conduct by-elections. Now, coterminous to this is that the procedure and the processes that the commission uses in conducting these elections are clearly set out in the Electoral Act 2010 as amended. Both the Constitution and the Electoral Act has also given the commission the power to make regulations, to make guidelines, and also gazette some of these and use them for purposes of conducting election. So if there's a lacuna in the Electoral Act, or if there are processes that have to be sorted out, we use our regulations and our guidelines and then update those processes. For instance, the Electoral Act, for instance, did not anticipate the fact that the world was going to go into a pandemic. So we had to use our processes and guidelines and procedures, or the powers conferred on us, to bring out a policy on conducting elections in a pandemic. So that's part of the things we do. Now, in relation to the conduct of elections, the step-by-step conduct of elections and the processes and procedures for doing that are clearly set out in the law. The election takes place at the polling unit. So that's the base from where we do these elections. At the end of elections, at the end of the processes at the polling unit, the votes in relation to each political party is sorted out at the level of the polling unit. After sorting, those votes are counted. And the scores of each political party, because at the polling unit you do not see the candidates, you see the logo of the political parties. So the scores of the candidates of the political parties are entered in what we call Form EC8A. That's the polling unit result. So after entering those scores in that particular form, the presiding officer signs and stamps. The representatives of the political parties, or those we call the pool agents, or what in popular parlance are called the party agents, they also sign if available, if they are available. Then this from EC8A is given to the representatives of the political parties and the security agents, if available. And then everything is packed up and then taken to the ward or registration area collation center.
Okay, ward or registration area collation. Now you said if available.
Yes.
What would happen if not available?
It really doesn't matter, because a political party may decide to send a polling agent to a particular polling unit, or may decide not to do that. A political party may not have the resources to deploy polling agents to a polling unit. So you cannot force a political party to send a polling agent to a polling unit. So if they are available, they sign. If they are not available, they do not sign. Even if they are available and refuse to sign, it really does not matter.
I just wanted to be sure that it couldn't become a matter of litigation later on.
No.
Since as you know, politicians are not shy to go into litigation on these matters.
So from the registration area collation center, there's a collation officer who collates the results from maybe a cluster of polling units, maybe 12 polling units or 20 polling units, depending on the quantum of polling units in each registration area or ward. That votes are collected there by the collation officer. After collating all the results, the collation officer also enters the results or the scores of the candidates in Form EC8B, signs the agents of the political parties at the ward collation center to sign. And then it is also moved to the local government collation center, where the local government collation officer also does the same thing and collates the result, the votes of the candidates in Form EC8C. Now, when it gets to the local governments, some state assembly constituencies are made up of only one local government. So there's a state assembly returning officer who makes the return in relation to state assembly candidates. And then if it's a federal constituency, it still moves to the federal constituency. If it's a senatorial district, it moves to the senatorial district returning officer. Then if it's a governorship election, all the local government collation officers now move the votes they have collated to the state collation center. And then if it's a presidential election, it moves from the state collation center down to the national collation center. So that's the trajectory, that's the movement of these results now, from the polling unit to the last
while all of this is going on, this systematic process is going on,
yes.
From the very first step, the polling unit, is the national center able to monitor proceedings to see what's going on, which even if they don't come into it, they can see it, and so that by the time it finally arrives at the National Collation Center, there should be no discrepancy?
Yes, we have processes and procedures of monitoring what we do. In fact, for instance, we some of the vehicles we use, the commission doesn't have sufficient vehicles that we go to every polling unit. We track some of these vehicles. So we monitor, we have a system of monitoring how the ballot papers and result sheets are delivered to the various polling units and to various local governments and so on and so forth. We also have a process and procedure of monitoring what goes on at the polling units, at the collation centers and so on. And we have what we call a collation support officers. And we also have monitors through which we monitor what goes on at all the polling units and the collation centers. So at the national level, we monitor what goes on at the various polling units, at the various collation centers and so on.
Okay. You're here, and I might be skipping all over the place because there's so many things, and it's not every day that we have a Festus Okoye in the studio. But I wanted to touch briefly on Anambra and a particular aspect of it, because we've spoken about Anambra quite a bit in the past week or so. And it relates to what I read in the press. Now, a candidate cannot upload, a political party cannot upload its candidate without a code that INEC would have provided.
Yes.
Now, in the case of Anambra and APGA, I read somewhere where Professor Soludo, a contestant of one of the factions, says that, his party uploaded his stuff with the code that INEC had provided. So with that kind of a situation, how come the representative, that is on the other side, was also able to be seen by INEC as a fitting candidate So maybe you could explain that to us.
Well, the political parties are a creation of the Constitution and a creation of the law. The law gives the Commission the power to register political parties that have satisfied the constitutional threshold provided in Section 221 to 229 of the Constitution. Now, when a political party wants to be registered, the political party must provide a copy of its Constitution and must also submit to the Commission the names of the names of the members of the National Executive Committee of the party. And then some other documents have to be submitted. Now, what the Commission has done in relation to the conduct of party primaries is to say, look, before now, when political party primaries are conducted, sometimes we have challenges in some of the political parties. Some of them are factionalized. Some of them, the state branch of the party does not have anything to do with the national. So sometimes fights are staged in the premises of the Commission. A state branch will come with its own list and personal particulars of the candidate. The national will come with their own. Different factions will come with their own. Sometimes there are fights within the premises of the Commission. So what the Commission did was that we developed what we call a candidates nomination portal, through which political parties upload the personal particulars and list of their nominated candidates.
They don't need to come to the premises.
They don't need to come to the premises of the Commission. So we give an access code to the national chairman of the political party recognized by the Commission. And they use that particular access code to upload the personal particulars and list of their candidates. So that's exactly what we did in relation to the Anambra governorship election. But what has happened is that some of the persons who are aggrieved within some of the political parties now approach different courts of law in relation to the conduct of their party primaries, and whether those party primaries that were already conducted are valid, or whether the people who are supposed to vote in party primaries were the actual persons that voted. So there were judgments emanating from various courts directing the Commission and ordering the Commission to accept a particular list and personal particulars of candidates.
Even though the Commission didn't supervise the primaries.
Exactly. But you see, what is important is that the Commission is not a court of law. We don't have a judicial division of the Federal High Court or the State High Court within the premises of the Commission.
Okay.
So under Section 287 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as a public institution and as a public trust, we are supposed to obey judgments and orders from courts of law. And that's exactly what we have done, to give effect to court orders and to judgments delivered by either a High Court or the Federal High Court or any of the superior courts. We are going to interface with the judiciary and with even the Bar Association, so that they can understand some of our processes and some of our procedures, and also we better understand the place of our regulations and guidelines within the whole matrix of the Electoral Act, so that if we have to input everything relating to our regulations and guidelines into the electoral legal framework, we will move and do that. But we are trying to move the electoral process towards a trajectory where the issue of human interface will be completely minimized and if not completely eliminated, so that things will be done in a very seamless manner, and we don't have to get into altercation with any political party or with any faction of a political party.
And so that has to be sorted out, as you said. Maybe the NJC will have to come in on it, maybe the Nigerian Bar Association will have to come on it, because as you said, INEC will obey a court order.
Yeah, I think in relation to Anambra, what has happened is that I think the President of the Court of Appeal set up a special panel to deal with all this deluge of matters arising from the conduct of party primaries in Anambra State. And we are hopeful and we are confident that in the next few days or few weeks, that the coast will become slightly clear and we can see much more clearly in terms of who are the validly nominated candidates of the political parties. And that will aid our planning and also give us the leeway to much more properly, situate the conduct of the elections, and then know what we are doing in relation to how to deliver a free, fair, and credible election in Anambra State.
Because we're talking about Anambra State now, but it's important for the entirety of Nigeria, because what has happened in Anambra State, which you just explained to us, it could happen anywhere else. And for how long is the commission going to, be moving around in legal circles, so to speak? This is the challenge, because Soludo was submitted to the commission via a code that the commission provided. The other honorable gentleman, he arrived via the court processes, and right now it's a confusion. But as you said, they are working on it. So in Anambra, the coast is not quite clear as to who will be on the ballot.
Well, to be honest with you, the coast is not quite clear, because there are multiplicity of court orders. And, I'm a lawyer, and there's what in law we call forum shopping. Some of the individuals in some of these political parties are engaged in what I call forum shopping. This is an election that is taking place in Anambra State. The conduct of party primaries is domiciled in a particular state, and Section 87 of the Electoral Act has made it very clear that political parties must conduct their congresses in the states where the election is supposed to take place, and that they can only submit the name of the person who won the majority of lawful votes and emerged through valid party primaries to the commission. But you see, as I said, the commission is not a court of law. We don't have adjudicatory powers, and whatever the courts pronounce, whatever their pronouncements are, we will definitely comply. So that is where we are. But I'm confident that in the next few weeks, the coast will clear, and we will begin to see clearly, because some of the issues that arose from either the Federal High Court or the State High Court have gone to the Court of Appeal. And this special panel of the Court of Appeal is moving around and trying to clear the coast and handling some of these matters. So in the next few weeks, the coast will be clear, and we will now much more properly understand where we are in relation to the conduct of the Anambra governorship election.
The Electoral Act in the National Assembly, when they were discussing it, yes. I think we were speaking about this before coming on air. I wanted to Independent National Electoral Commission, the independent part of it, of that name.
Yes.
There are people who are a bit apprehensive, are concerned, because they felt that what was going on in the National Assembly was actually deigning to impact on your processes, whereas that shouldn't be going by your name, strictly by your name, Independent National Electoral Commission. So how can the National Assembly now be, as it were, dictating processes to you? What would be your commentary?
Well, we are a product of the Constitution and also a product of the law. The Independent National Electoral Commission does not have legislative powers. The power to make laws in relation to matters in the exclusive legislative list resides with the National Assembly. The National Assembly also has the power to alter the provisions of the Constitution if they follow the processes and procedures laid out in the Constitution. They also have the power to amend the Electoral Act or the Electoral Legal Framework within the powers given to them by the Constitution. So it is within their power and within their remit to amend the law. Our position as an electoral management body is that we operate on the basis of the extant law, the existing legal framework. The existing legal framework as of today gives us the power to organize, undertake, and supervise elections. It also makes it possible, if you look at Section 160 of the Constitution, it says that in organizing our elections and also organizing our processes, that we are not beholden to anybody or to any institution, but that rather the Commission can assign powers and duties to individuals in other institutions for the purposes of carrying out our functions much more effectively. So we will continue to remain and operate within the confines and ambit of the constitutional powers assigned to the Commission, and also within the ambit of the powers given to us by the Electoral Act. But if tomorrow the Constitution is altered or the Electoral Act is amended and our powers change, definitely we will also remain within those powers given to us by the Constitution. So for me, what is important is what the Nigerian people think, what the members of the National Assembly that have been given legislative powers are doing, and also what the president does in relation to assenting to or not assenting to a particular law. But as an electoral management body, we know the enormity of the powers given to us, we know the limits of the powers given to us, and we also know the parameters of the powers given to us. And I can assure you that this present commission will remain within the powers granted to it, and we are not shy and we are courageous in executing the powers given to us and remaining within the powers of the commission.
When it comes to transmitting results, there was a question as to whether or not INEC had the ability. So maybe you can clear that up now.
Well, I think that we have dwelt so long on this whole issue of whether we have the capacity and ability to transmit results electronically. And we have said that we have that capacity and we have the ability to transmit results of electronically. And that we have been piloting some of the electronic solutions we have for quite some time. Now, and I think that there's a little bit of confusion relating to this whole issue of transmitting election results.
Okay.
The Electoral Act as presently configured and as presently set out, gives a step-by-step procedure for the transmission of election results, whether manually or electronically. Our results move from the polling unit to the registration area collation center, from the registration area center collation center to the local government collation center. And then if it is a state assembly election, it terminates at a certain point. If it's a federal constituency election, it terminates at the federal constituency collation center. So what we are saying is that over the years, we have had a problem between what emanates from the polling unit and what goes to the registration area collation center or the ward. Give us the power, give us both powers to deploy technology to bridge that gap, so that at the end of the day, whatever result is transmitted electronically will also be matched with what has been transmitted manually. Okay. And then we do some level of quality control. We intend
almost like a receipt, so to speak.
Like a receipt, exactly. What we are looking at is that the type of electronic voting machine we want to introduce is an electronic voting machine that also has a paper trail. So that if there's a discrepancy, if there's a problem between the electronically transmitted result, we can use the paper trail to cross-check. So I really think that Nigerians don't have anything to fear in relation to giving us the power to transmit results electronically. The commission is a responsible institution. What we are saying is give us broad powers to determine when to deploy technology in any aspect of the electoral process. Don't write any brand of technology into the Electoral Act or into the law, because if you do, you create challenges for us, because we have to keep on coming back. But because technology is dynamic, technology keeps on changing. If you give us broad powers, we can introduce relevant technology at the relevant time, depending on our own environment, depending on our own circumstances.
And even observations.
Exactly. So that's the point the commission is making. Give us broad powers, and we have never introduced any new initiative without carrying out adequate consultation. When we were about to bring into being new polling units, we consulted the political parties, we consulted civil society groups and organizations, we consulted the media, we consulted the National Assembly, we consulted the Council of States and so on. And that is the type of consultations we carry out in relation to some of our processes. So before we bring in any new innovation, any fundamental innovation into the electoral process, we will definitely consult, and Nigerians will be carried along in all the things we do.
Okay. I found out that you've conducted a little over 26 by-elections so far.
Yes.
I wanted to talk about that, but I don't want to keep Agbaeze in Abuja waiting, who has called in. Good morning, Mr. Agbaeze.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, thank you for calling. A question for the commissioner?
Yes, sir. So I really want to appreciate Mr. Festus Okoye.
Okay.
And the position he's taking, because this thing is becoming almost a quagmire in understanding in Nigerians. The National Assembly is the only body vested with the powers to make laws. So I think he's very, very correct. INEC is subject to whatever law the National Assembly has made for it. People believe INEC has become independent. Independent is not in the sense of exercising powers over the National Assembly. So I appreciate Mr. Festus for trying to settle this quagmire that people have misconstrued independence to the extent of INEC operating outside the powers of the National Assembly. No, it's not correct. So I want to thank you for making that clarification. Thank you, sir.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Mr. Gbaise, for calling in. This is the whole purpose of having Festus Okoye here, INEC National Commissioner for Information and Voter Education. Now, I was talking about the 26 by-elections or so that have already been conducted. All of them, in terms of the integrity of elections, I imagine it must be quite difficult because there will be various different kind of elections, right? And there will be different reasons for conducting elections, and not all of them will be for the same office. So how does that work?
You know, let me tell you, in the commission, there is no big election and there's no small election.
Okay.
That state assembly election that you think is a small election may be very, very problematic. If you recall, the commission went to Ekiti State to conduct a state assembly election, and the election was for almost half of a local government, and that election has not been concluded as of today. We had to pull out from that particular election and suspended it indefinitely because of challenges relating to crowd violence, relating to deaths and so on. Conducting an election is not a child's play. But what is important is that the commission has been conducting series of by-elections. And it's one of the issues we've submitted to the National Assembly in terms of legislative intervention. We want a situation where the number of by-elections we conduct will reduce considerably. For instance, part of our proposal is that if a member of the National Assembly or a state assembly dies, who has been elected under the platform of a political party, that the political party under which the person came to power should be in a position to organize primaries and then replace that particular candidate, since the candidate belongs to that particular political party. That will obviate the chance the commission conducting election and wasting taxpayers' money. The second proposal we have put before the National Assembly is in relation to somebody who has been elected leaving the seat to go and become a minister or to go and become a commissioner, or somebody who has been elected as a member of the House of Representatives resigning to go and contest senatorial election. In such instance, our proposal is that the political party that came second in that particular election should replace the person who wants to go to do something else. Mm-hmm. That will prevent,
instead of fresh elections.
Instead of fresh election, that will prevent a situation where the commission will be conducting elections all year round. All year round. For instance, we have this Saturday, we have a federal constituency election in Lere Federal Constituency in Kaduna State. There's a federal constituency election pending in Jos North Basa Federal Constituency. And then a vacancy has also been declared in relation to Isoko, I think Isoko North State Assembly, because somebody, the member representing Isoko North died. So all year round, we are conducting elections. And we believe that if somebody dies, the political party that nominated the person should replace the person. But if somebody has resigned to go and do something else, that there should be a different framework for dealing with that, and that the person who came second or the political party that came second should replace the person.
Okay. Desmond in Ojo, good morning, and apologies for keeping you waiting, but I had to let Mr. Okoye land. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Okoye.
Good morning.
Yeah, I have just 3 questions to throw to the INEC.
Wait, bring one. Bring one.
No,
bring one out of the 3.
Yeah, brief questions.
Okay.
The first one is, why is INEC not taking charge of local government elections? Because in local government elections, most states, whatever the party of the governor is, that is how it flows down to the local government.
Okay.
I wish INEC should come and take charge of that.
Okay.
That is one. Number 2, independent candidacy, if a practicing democracy, as we are trying to emulate the United States of America, they have independent candidacy.
Okay.
I know it's beyond the INEC power, it's national.
And number three, please. And number three. And number three.
Then number three, which is more powerful in Nigeria? Is it the INEC or the Supreme Court? Because if we have to say if a governor winning the poll, Supreme Court will now come and overturn the state. So are we going to be voting for INEC and expect the Supreme Court to follow our own line?
Thank you very much, Desmond. Really appreciate your call. Okay then. Well, you said three questions. There you go. Well, please don't follow Desmond's lead and bring 3 or 4 questions. Just one, please. But this one, local government elections. Why don't you conduct them?
Well, the state's independent electoral commissions are a creation of the Constitution. The Independent National Electoral Commission is a creation of the Constitution. The lawmakers have given the right and the power to conduct local government elections to the state's Independent Electoral Commission. So the Independent National Electoral Commission will not go about grabbing powers that are not donated to it. If Nigerians and the lawmakers believe that local government elections will be better served by the Independent National Electoral Commission, it is their responsibility to approach the National Assembly and for the National Assembly to amend or to alter the Constitution and also amend the law and assign that particular duty to the Independent National Electoral Commission.
Okay.
But I really believe that the type of legal instrument, the type of legal power, the type of things that made this particular commission slightly independent, made us independent, should also be extended to the state's independent electoral commissions. They should also be given the power and given that protection they need to be truly independent. And if they are, it will make for a very good federal arrangement.
There are other questions, but we don't need to take them now because I want to bring in Reverend Dominic from Alimosho, who is, Desmond, I know the questions and we'll weave them in independent candidature and between INEC and the Supreme Court, who is more powerful. But good morning, Reverend Dominic.
Good morning, Jore. How are you today?
Very well, thank you.
Good morning, the Commissioner, Festus Okoye. You are doing a good work.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
I have one comment and one question. The comment is this.
Okay.
As long as the politicians, the actors in the field, are not playing according to the rules, even though when you bring agents, we will not have a credible election. That's one side. INEC is doing well. But the actors are frustrating the INEC work. My question to you, sir, is this. There's something that happened in last central election in Imo State, which you know it, that concerned voters of culture. The returning officer cried foul or cried to, or shouted or to somebody who wants to listen, that this man puts gun on his head and they force him to sign, his own returns. Now, INEC did well and said that we cannot reward a bad character, but the court reversed it. I was angry with the court until I read the judgment of the court, and I found that the judge has no ground to agree with the INEC because the electoral law did not permit INEC to cancel that election when the return officer has said yes, this man won election. But we knew what voters did. But I thought that INEC would have gone to National Assembly to cure that mischief. Now when the electoral officer cries foul, we must listen to him. Because many politicians have talked to me and other person, if voters of Cross's election stands, it's easy way to win election. If you can have a gun and put on the head of a return officer, whatever he signs stands because the court has justified. What INEC doing on that issue?
All right, Reverend Dominic, thank you very much. This goes back to Section 68, doesn't it?
Oh, yes. The position of the commission has not changed. We cannot, as an electoral management body, reward bad behavior. We are insisting that we appoint these returning officers, and these returning officers are accountable to us. So what part of the proposal we made to the National Assembly is for the commission to have at least a period of 7 days to review whatever declaration or whatever return a returning officer has made. If the commission believes that some of the law has been breached or the law has not been properly followed, or that a returning officer has acted under duress or has other unwholesome things have happened. So that's part of our proposal, that these returning officers are persons appointed by us and they are accountable to us first and foremost, and that we should have the power to review what they have done, rather than giving the ultimate power to the courts. That after we have reviewed, then if there are challenges, it can now be within the purview of the courts. So that's our position, and that we cannot continue to reward bad behavior, because if you continue to reward bad behavior, impunity will continue to recycle itself.
But it's a proposal in the National Assembly.
It's a proposal, but ultimately it is for the National Assembly to agree or not to agree. It is when the National Assembly agrees with the proposal and is passed in the plenary, and the president assents to it, that it becomes a law of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But as of today, under Section 68 of the Electoral Act, the return made by a returning officer can only be questioned in a court of law.
And just to sort of wrap that section up, in the National Assembly, the House of Reps very largely left it intact the way it was, the Electoral Act, but it's in the Senate that proposals are coming, that bear consideration, right?
Well, the way the National Assembly works is that there must be a concurrence in relation to all the provisions between the Senate and the House of Representatives. So they are going to do some harmonization very, very soon. It's after they finish this harmonization that we will know which of those proposals received the due consideration by the National Assembly.
We have two questions outstanding still from Desmond in Ojo. So let me pick up the independent candidature question that he asked.
Well, it's still left to Nigerians and also left to the National Assembly. Whatever they decide, our business is to carry it out. And the other one that I thought was a bit of a rhetorical question was between INEC and Supreme Court. Who has the greater power? Well, the courts are part of the harmony of democracy. In a democracy, each organ of government has been assigned with specific powers and functions. So the Supreme Court is doing its own and we are doing our own. We will not encroach into judicial powers, because we do not have powers of interpretation and we don't have powers of adjudication.
Benga in Abuja, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Yori, and good morning, Barrister Okoye.
Good morning.
I also enjoy your explicit, point and facts. You never disappoint me. The one thing I want to ask is, number one, in 2019, you held an election, and that time they have not allowed electronic transmission. You don't have a server for that. A political party took you to court, PDP. They say you have a server, and they say they even saw it, and that from your server they are able to copy a result another server in Kenya, and it goes to the Supreme Court. Now that you want to transmit now electronically, you must transmit into a server. Are you not expecting a bigger problem? Because if you don't have it, they say you have it, and they say they know it, they can describe it. Now that you want to have it, I'm smelling that bigger people are coming. Number two, in the Ondo and Edo election, they snap the picture of the result and just post it on your site. You could view it real time. Some are not real time. Are you going to transmit through such a means of just transmitting the picture, which is just like MPEG, the picture, or you are transmitting figure now? What are you going to see? Because, the only thing remaining in the National Assembly is just for them to harmonize. Either you go and consult them, but electronic transmission has been passed. What should we expect? And how will you overcome the issue of hacking? Because even the democracies in the US, they see a problem of hacking. So how do you want to overcome those challenges? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Benga. You managed to rope in 3 questions there. I told Desmond, don't follow Desmond's lead, but still. Okay, it's all good.
well, on the first issue, and I think the issue of whether the commission has a server or doesn't have a server in relation to the 2019 election had been settled by the Supreme Court. But let me make this clear. The commission never said we don't have servers in the commission. Because even our procurement department, they have servers through where the warehouse procurement issues and procurement processes. What the commission said was that the particular server they are talking about, where they claim that the election results were domiciled, that we don't have that particular server. And that was the point we made during the 2019 election. Well, in relation to the Edo and the Ondo governorship election, what we did was to upload polling unit results into a central portal for public viewing. Now, that is also experimental. Yeah, there were a few issues that we noticed in relation to some of the results that were uploaded. I think if in a particular state where you have over 3,000 polling units, and there were you found out that 2 of those results had issues, and I think that is a pass mark. But we are taking on board some of the comments and some of the issues that arose from this uploading of polling unit results. Now, on the third issue he raised in relation to what we are going to transmit, well, I think that it will be safe for us to wait for the National Assembly to finish with the work on the electoral legal framework, and then we know what has been proposed, because our proposal is for us to use electronic voting machines for the 2023 elections. And the machines we are looking at are machines that we have a paper trail through which we can do some due diligence in terms of the results that comes from the polling units. In relation to the issue of hacking, we have one of the best ICT departments in Nigeria, and some of these issues, they have taken them on board. Nobody goes about saying, oh, these are my defenses, come and attack me. So we are not going to disclose the type of defenses we have in relation to these issues. But I can assure Nigerians that the Commission understands the enormity of its responsibility, and we are not going to play with the powers conferred on us by the Constitution and the people.
Mr. Yakub in Dokwemu, good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Chief, and then good morning to your guests.
Yeah, good morning.
I just want to reframe one of the caller's question earlier and then add a little one to it. The question is that I noticed that in this country, especially in various states, whereby they conduct election, for example, if PDP or APC is ruling that state, there's probability when they conduct the election in the local government, they win all the local government. And then the caller says that he will prefer INEC, national INEC to be conducted election in the various. I think that is where to go. But the INEC, your guest now says that Nigeria can send a bill to National Assembly to seek that responsibility for INEC at national to come and conduct election. My question now is this: why can't INEC as a whole send a bill to seek that responsibility by themselves, instead of looking to Nigerian citizens to send that same bill in order to secure that job for them? Because the reason is this, Chief Yori, if they conducted the election in the state, there is nowhere, I'm trying to be corrected, there is nowhere opposition party win the election in the local government. And then the second one is this: INEC said sometime when they conducted the election in the national, sometimes INEC will cancel election in some local government area whereby they say that there was disrupt of election voters and all that. I think the politicians are so weak.
INEC or state independent electoral commissions. But okay.
Yes, you see, there's some politicians are so smart, especially whereby they know they were not strong in some area. They will send the talk to that very particular area to disrupt the election there in order for INEC to cancel the election. Oh. My question now is that when they cancel the election, are you going to organize new election there, or you cancel it totally? Thank you and good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Yakub.
Yes, this commission, the Independent National Electoral Commission, did not create itself. It's a creation of the Constitution and a creation of the law. This commission will not go about grabbing powers that have not been donated to it, because if you flip his issues, the state's independent electoral commissions can also go to the National Assembly to say, the powers given to the Independent National Electoral Commission will be better served by us. Let's the National Assembly amend the law, since governorship elections belongs to the state assembly elections belongs to the state. Let the state independent electoral commissions be the ones that will conduct those elections. So you can flip it to another side. But I really believe that it is the responsibility of the National Assembly, is the responsibility of the Nigerian people to propose whatever they want. For us, if the law is amended tomorrow, if the constitution is altered tomorrow, and that responsibility is given to the Independent National Electoral Commission, definitely we will carry out that particular responsibility. So it's not within our purview to go about seeking for additional powers. When some of the powers given to us, we want to cede it to other organs and to other agencies.
Okay, Mazi Okora for Inaro Chuku. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Barrister Okoye.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Barrister Okoye, I want to find out from you, what does it take Nigeria as a country to make that motion that we should have an independent candidate in our constitution? That's question number one. And number two, what is your the INEC doing so that they will stop that problem we encountered in Imo State when a returning officer was saying that he's announcing this result at gunpoint? I'm saying this because the world is what you see. Everything now is now digital. In our process, we are trying, by the grace of God, we will transmit 2023 by electronics even from my own village or from our river in Anutuku, so that everybody will see what's happening. Because we are moving, as you rightly said, we are moving, we are not going back. So I pray by the grace of nobody will bring us back to analog. We shall move that to digital. Thank you very much. We are very happy the way you are giving us answers. We pray that the answers you are giving will be started back up with facts. And with what? With Holy Spirit. Have a blessed day in Lagos.
Thank you.
Amen.
Yes. Well, let me offer free legal advice to him in relation to the issue of independent candidacy. He can approach the member representing his constituency either in the House of Representatives or the Senate, and then the person can bring up a private member's bill that goes to the National Assembly. And then if the other lawmakers agree with him in relation to the independent candidacy, it will pass through the processes of the National Assembly and also go to the state assemblies since it involves constitutional alteration. And if at the end of the day Nigerians agree and all the lawmakers agree, then it becomes a reality, and then the commission will have no must definitely implement the intendment of the law.
Chidi in Kafanchan. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Chief Yori.
Thank you for calling.
Good morning, Barrister Okoye.
Yeah, good morning.
I want to sincerely appreciate you for the justice you are doing to the questions being thrown to you and the way you are analyzing concerning our electoral process in the country.
Thank you.
I want to encourage that is the INEC, as the body mandated to conduct elections in Nigeria, to do everything within the purview of the law in order to make sure that the shortcomings we had in 2019 will not repeat itself if, by the grace of God, we are going to have 2023 general elections. Thank you for what you are doing so far and the awareness you are creating, particularly for the forthcoming Anambra governorship elections. Thank you all, and God bless Nigeria.
Thank you very much for calling in, Chidi.
Yeah, this commission, the chairman has made it very clear. We learn with every election. We are not rigid about anything. Sometimes when we bring into force or into being new innovations and they do not meet the standards we have set for ourselves, we withdraw those innovations and then re-innovate. So we'll continue to improve with every election, and we also encourage Nigerians to make their own contributions. We consult widely in relation to our processes and procedures, and we assure Nigerians that whatever it takes, we are going to do to make sure that our election moves towards a different trajectory where it can compete favorably with both regional and international standards.
Well, Mr. Okoye, it's been an information fest. But in closing now, I just wanted to ask the other question. Here we are in 2021. 2023 is not that far away. Is it too early to begin preparing for the 2023 elections?
We're already preparing. We've immediately the 2019 elections was over, we started preparing for the 2023 election. And that's why if you looked at what we have done, going into this election, we had a total of, going into the 2019 elections, we had a total of 119,974 polling units. But we have added so many additional polling units to the country, whereby we have 176,846 polling units as of today. What we have done is to take these polling units closer to the people, so that persons with a disability can access the polling units easier and in a safe environment. Pregnant women can access these polling units that are closer to them. So we have created additional polling units for the country. We're also doing this CVR, and we are confident that with the way, the way we are going, if you look at the number of young persons that have registered so far, you will see that over 70% of the new registrants may likely be persons who are between 18 and 34. So we're already preparing for the 2023 elections, and we are not leaving no stone unturned in making sure that we give Nigerians a very good voting experience.
Well, as I said, Mr. Festus Okoye, it's been a delight hosting you.
Thank you.
You know, and also let me just register the appreciation of the station and the program for, you know, your accommodation every time we call you remotely. If it's possible, you will be there. And indeed, there were a number of occasions when we had thought that we'd be able to speak with you, but it wasn't possible technically. But here you are, and I think it very much makes up for everything.
Thank you so much.
Indeed, our pleasure.
Thank you.